Hello and welcome back to another unboxing video. Now this time I'm taking a slight detour from what I normally look at on this channel. Instead of looking at a war game or some miniatures, I'm taking a look at Codenames, which is a card game from Czech Games Edition. And on the back here we have a kind of a brief example as to what the game is about. Essentially a word association game which you use to find different agents in the field. In the box you get 16 agent cards in two colours, which are these cards you can see here. We get one double agent card, 7 innocent bystander cards, which you can see here, 1 assassin card, 40 key cards, 1 rulebook, 1 card stand, 1 timer, and 200 cards with 400 code names. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this box up and take a look at the contents inside. So first things first, we have the Codenames rulebook. Now the rulebook is quite slim, as you can see here, but it doesn't need to be any bigger, as the rules are very straightforward for Codenames. Everything is nicely laid out, as you can see in here. We've got all the different game overview, and it moves on to the game flow, how you can win, for example. Also gives you a few little tips for playing the game as well. A few diagrams to explain what the different cards are and how to set up the game, for example. And there's quite a nice little tongue-in-cheek element to the way the rules are written, which gives it a nice little bit of entertainment as you're reading through. So that's the rulebook. Let's move on to taking a look at some of the cards. So first of all, we have the code name cards, and you get 200 of these, and these are all double-sided, so you end up with 400 different code names. You can see on one side we've got one code name, Shadow in this case, and on the other side we've got Centaur, and these are all the same, all various different names. You can just mark through there, and you can see quite nice as well the fact that it's written on twice, which means if it's down on the table like that, you can read it, and the person from the other side can read it as well. So I'll go into explaining how the game works and how all of these cards are used later on. So let's move on to some of the agent cards. So first of all, we have the Assassin card. Now this is the guy you want to stay away from. If one of your team members guesses this card, then your team is out of the game automatically. So you want to try your best to avoid the code name that this guy is associated with. Next we have the Innocent Bystander. You can see it's just a civilian who has really no clue as to what's going on there. Now these are basically red herrings in the game. These are guys you want to avoid, but if you do stumble across them, it's not the end of the world. You just end your turn and move on to the opposing player's turn. Next we have actually the agent cards themselves. So obviously we've got the blues and the reds, and these are both double-sided. You can see we've got a kind of very Archer-esque character on that card there. And we also get the double agent here as well. You can see it's a red card with blue glasses, or a blue card with red glasses. And this is basically used, given to the player who goes first so that they don't have any particular advantage over the play. So let's move on to the next card, which are the key cards. Now these are the cards which the spy masters, the two players who are actually going to be calling out the code names, will be referring to. Now what we also get is a little stand here. You can just pop your card in like that. And when you've got your grid of 5 cards by 5 cards, only you, the spy masters, know exactly which card corresponds to which team, and which one's the assassin and which ones are the innocent bystanders. So only you guys can see this. On the other side it's just a kind of a blank panel there. And the lights are on the side determine who goes first as well. So what I'm going to do now, we've looked at everything, I'm going to kind of give you a brief overview of the game and how an example turn would play out. So here we have 25 codename cards, and these are arranged in a 5 by 5 grid on the table. One team would be the blue team, and one team would be the red team. And the teams would sit probably one side of these cards, with the spy master sitting the other side of the cards. Now the spy master, there'll be 2 of them, 1 for each team, and they will take it in turns to read out clues which will associate with the words on here. Now if I bring in the cipher, so to speak. Now this card we've already looked at. Now if you look at the cards, it's in a 5 by 5 grid as associated with these cards, and each of these colours represents which agent these cards are. Now as the red team, you want to point out all of the red cards. So for example, one of them would be Scorpion here. We've got Plastic, England, America, Note down here as well. Whereas a blue player would be looking at things like Teacher, Fence, and Suit. The pale cards there are the innocent bystanders. If you pick one of those, then your turn is over, but you haven't lost. But if you pick the assassin, which is a mug in this case, then you will your team automatically loses the game. Now the lights on the side, obviously, which player goes first. So let's kind of do an example. So we've got the cards. Pop the card just here for the time being. Now let's say that we are playing as the red team, and we want to point out 2 of the cards on this page. Now we can only say one word, and this word has to be a clue for both of the words that we're looking for. So on this kind of grid here, I can see 2 words which could be linked. So you've got England and America, and both of those are red agents. So what I do is I'd say to my particular team, for example, country. Now they would look at this grid and find any cards which related to country, and they would say, okay, America and England. And in this case they would be correct, so we would place a red agent over those, and a red agent over those, which would eliminate those from the game essentially, and the player would then move on to the opposing team. Now if they were to guess wrong, for some reason they were to say bottle instead of England, they would actually be revealed to be an innocent bystander card, and that would be placed there instead, and play would then move on to the opposing team. Now the aim of the game is to be the first team to identify all of their agents in the game. So this is obviously, once all the red cards have been placed, that red team will win, and once all the blue cards have been placed, the blue team will win. So as you can see, the game itself is very, very straightforward. Now there's a few strategies you can employ in order to be the first team to achieve all of your cards, is to use words which can have more than one meaning. However, you don't want to be too vague, otherwise people could accidentally hit the assassin card or even an innocent bystander. So for example, if you were to say something like, say for example we've got chair and mug here, if you were to say something like kitchen, then you could, and then you would also say a number, so how many that associates with. So let's say 2. So you'd have kitchen tap and also kitchen chair. However, someone could also choose mug, so if they were to choose mug, then that turned it in. So it's all about trying to figure out how your team, as a spy master, how your team would actually associate these clues to the words that you've got on the tables, and some really nice kind of combinations can pop up through the game. So now that we have a rough guide as to how Codenames is played, let's zoom out and get an overall summary for this game. So that was Codenames, and overall it's a very, very quick game to play and also learn, which is great for a party situation where you've got people who maybe never played the game. They can get to grips with the rules really quickly. Now one of the great things about this game as well is that it's, I'll just bring it on the side here, it's 2 to 8 plus players, so even if you've only got 2 people you want to play with, you can play the game, but if you've got a large group of you, you can still enjoy Codenames. Now, as I've already mentioned, the rules are really, really straightforward to learn. The rulebook's really nicely laid out. Everything is in its own little section, really clearly explained. So you can actually probably read through these rules the first time and be playing within 10 minutes of opening the box. So in terms of gameplay, you are really much at the mercy of the way that the cards are laid out and which ones you draw and which positions they end up in. Sometimes you can have some really nice combinations between the two, but sometimes it can be very hard to find links between several of the cards. However, due to the fact that this game can be kind of restarted and played again, it's very, very easy to, if you do both teams agree that the cards available aren't particularly easy to work with, you can just redeal a new set of cards. Now personally, I did find the game to be a little bit too simplistic for my own taste. I'm very much used to playing much more advanced board games, but if you're more of a casual gamer, then this is probably a really good box set for you. I just found that the strategy that was there wasn't very multi-layered. It was literally a case of just being able to think of words which you could easily associate, but it does make for it a very easy pick up and play fun party game. So that was my unboxing and review of Codenames. Now do let me know what you thought of the video in the comments below, as it's the first kind of style of these videos that I've done before. Also, if there's any future games you would like me to cover, be it board or card games, do let me know as well. Additionally, if you want to actually pick up a copy of Codenames as well, I'll pop a link in the description below, which will take you to Czech Games Edition. You'll be able to find a local retailer for that. So until next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.